Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is the first part of What If Naruto Was the Vermilion Devil in High School DxD. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe and also go and support the author, link in description. After Nagato finished using Ghetto art of Rinne rebirth to revive everyone that was killed during the attack, he had passed away, so Konan took his body to be buried. Naruto, wanting to double check if Nagato had actually done it, quickly went into Sage mode once more. To his relief, he could sense everyone alive again, and Kakashi-sensei is coming this way too. A tired yet happy smile came across his face. They're back, they're really back. As he met up with Kakashi, Naruto sensed something weird. What is that? Naruto questioned. He really hoped it wasn't something dangerous, cause damn it, he was tired. And not just physically, he was mentally and emotionally tired as well, and he was not in the mood for another battle. Naruto, what is it? Is everything alright? Asked Kakashi as he stared at Naruto with concern. I don't know, Kakashi-sensei, I sense something off. I don't know what it is, but I know for sure it's not supposed to be here. Naruto honestly didn't know how he should deal with this new development, as he didn't want to fight another possible big bad that decided to show up, so he was tempted to say, screw it, let's go home. On the other hand, he didn't want everything he just went through to be for naught, so with that he took a deep breath and steeled his resolve once more and made his decision. Kakashi-sensei, stay here, I'm gonna go check it out, Naruto said as he prepared to head out in his direction, but Kakashi reached out and stopped him. Wait Naruto, I'm coming with you, Kakashi said. What? No way, Kakashi-sensei, you died during the pain attack, do you hear me, you died. I just lost both of my masters to the same guy. I'm not losing you a third time. Naruto practically yelled. No way was he gonna lose his master 3 times in a row. Be that as it may, Naruto, but as your sensei you're my responsibility, and a sensei never abandons his student, Kakashi retorted. Naruto could do nothing but sigh at his master's words, but at least he had some backup in case something went wrong, so he gave him a small smile. Okay Kakashi-sensei, but be careful, I don't need you dying on me again. Kakashi gave him a small chuckle. Shouldn't I be telling you that, Naruto? Let's go. Right Kakashi-sensei. Naruto nodded as the duo set out to whatever had popped up on Naruto's radar. As they got closer, of course, the sensation Naruto had felt also got stronger. Naruto couldn't understand just what he was sensing here. It felt like it was moving, but it also wasn't moving from its spot. Eventually, they reached the point where Naruto felt the sensation was strongest. As Naruto reached out to see if he could feel anything, a rip appeared and Naruto quickly jumped back to the tree where Kakashi was standing. Kakashi-sensei, what the hell is that? Naruto exclaimed. I don't know, but it looks like some type of portal. It looks similar to when I use my Kamui, but this looks like something different entirely, Kakashi responded, but to both of their surprises the portal started to pull. Kakashi, always quick to react, grabbed something and planted his feet to the tree branch using chakra to be sure. Naruto, grab onto something quick. Arg, right. Naruto grabbed onto the nearest branch and held on tight, but the pull was so strong the branch he was holding onto started to crack. Naruto started to put chakra to his feet, but due to him using Sage mode so many times on top of using the Nine Tails chakra, you could say that the man was beyond exhausted. Crack. And that was the only thing keeping him from flying into the portal-looking thing. Ahhhhhhhhh. Naruto screamed as he flew fast, heading straight for the portal. Naruto. Kakashi quickly sprung into action as he lunged to grab Naruto and pull him to safety, but he was once again too late and Naruto flew into the portal to who knows where. Kakashi could only look on in horror as the portal closed, leaving him alone. Kakashi looked down in sorrow at his hand as the only thing that he had managed to grab. Naruto's headband. Naruto didn't know how to describe where he was at the moment. To him there were just a bunch of colors, as if a kid just took whatever colors they could find and slapped it on something and called it art. He couldn't even see anything for miles. There was nothing, like literally nothing, no buildings, no wind, not even a speck of dust. It's like he got sucked into the abyss, though it made more sense the more he thought about it. Naruto tried to move but found he was way too exhausted to do so. I guess all that fighting really did a number on me, huh? Naruto thought as he looked around some more. Naruto thought he saw something in the distance. It was small, but Naruto was sure he saw it. As he tried calling out to it, he felt that he was getting weaker as his vision started to blacken. No, I can't black out now. I still have to get back. The last thing Naruto saw before his vision went completely black was a girl with black hair tilting her head in curiosity. With the elemental nations. Kakashi could not believe what had just happened to his student. How did this happen? How did he let this happen? He was too late again. Just like he was 3 years ago to stop Sasuke, and now 2 core members of Team 7 have left the village. He tried looking with his Sharingan to see if any trace of the portal was still there, even going as far as to use his Mangekyo. Kakashi checked, double-checked, and even triple-checked every inch of the area, but to no avail. Whatever it was that took Naruto was long gone. Losing hope, Kakashi fell to his knees and punched the ground hard, and he kept on punching the ground until he couldn't feel his hand anymore. After exerting all of his frustration, Kakashi got up from the small crater he made and walked back to the destroyed Leaf Village with a depressing thought. Naruto, Kushina, Minato-sensei, I'm sorry. Today would forever be known as the day the Hidden Leaf Village took 2 devastating blows. It was truly a sad day for everyone in the Leaf, as today marks the day that Naruto Uzumaki, the hero of the Hidden Leaf, went MIA. With Naruto. As Naruto came to, he found his eyes being assaulted by the sunlight. As Naruto squinted to let his vision adjust, he tried to sit up only to fall back down as his body had not been given time to recover from his fight with pain. Where am I? Naruto questioned as he checked his surroundings, noticing that he was in a forest. After getting up, albeit with a bit of difficulty, Naruto started to walk around to see if he could find anything. After walking for about 15 minutes, Naruto started to get hungry as his stomach started rumbling. Naruto sheepishly scratched the back of his head. Hey, eat now, find us something later, Naruto said as he looked around once more, only to find he was still surrounded by trees. But there's nothing nearby, which means I'm gonna have to go hunting again, Naruto thought with a little bitterness to it. Looks like I'm back to square one. Literally, Naruto then set out to find something to sat his hunger for now. After about 5 minutes, Naruto found a lake with a good amount of fish in it. Perfect. Fish, it's not ramen, but it will do just fine. Naruto then took out 4 of his kunais and with perfect aim hit 4 of the fish that were in the lake. Sorry fishies, but it was either you or me, Naruto thought as he gathered up the fish and the material needed to start a fire and cook his meal. As the fish started to cook, Naruto sat down and mulled over everything that had just happened to him recently. Okay, so I beat pain and saved the village. Next, this portal-looking thing appeared out of nowhere and sucked me into this weird colorful place. Then I pass out from exhaustion and now I'm lost in the middle of nowhere with no way home. As the realization slowly dawned on him, Naruto's eyes widened, as the reality of his situation creeped in, so did his depression. What do I do now? I'm stuck in the middle of God knows where with no way back. I lost everything. My home, my friends, my dream, everything. I just got everything back and now. Naruto then shook his head to clear his thoughts before they could go any deeper. He then started to eat the fish that he cooked as he thought about what he was going to do now. No, now's not the time for that. What I need to do now is find a way out of here. Naruto then finished his food and he got up and rubbed his chin as he started pacing back and forth as he started to brainstorm ideas. What would Sakura-chan do? Naruto thought. Then an image of Sakura appeared going, cha, and punching something before it faded. Naruto felt a shiver go down his spine and he shook his head to boot that idea. Okay, not helpful. What would Kakashi-sensei do? Naruto suddenly had an epiphany as he shot up from the ground as he slammed his fist into his palm. I need to find civilization. Civilization means people and people means information and information means a way back home. Man, he was glad he thought of that idea. Maybe all of those teachings Ero Sennin and Ba-chan jammed into him, the latter being literal, weren't useless after all. As Naruto finally knew what he needed to do, Naruto decided to pack his stuff, which was nothing but his dirty tracksuit and red haori, and head in the direction of civilization. But as he started to move, Naruto stopped as he found himself with a glaring problem. Which way do I go exactly? As Naruto started to look in different directions for anything useful. Seeing none, Naruto let out a tired sigh before walking in a random direction. Welp, looks like I'm going in blind. Civilization, here I come. After what seemed like forever, Naruto finally found a way out of the forest as he came out of the bushes while taking a bunch of branches and leaves out of his hair. As Naruto looked up, he saw a sign that said, "Welcome to Kuo Town." Naruto found himself flabbergasted as he looked past the sign and saw buildings that were massive. Seriously, these buildings make the Hokage's mansion look like a pebble. Naruto wandered into town looking around in astonishment as he'd never seen something like this before. However, Naruto was in a populated area, and because he was in a populated area he was drawing a lot of attention to himself. To anyone who looked at him he looked like a foreigner, which he was more than, as he's from another world, but he doesn't know that yet. That attention only served to grow when Naruto stepped straight into traffic and right into the path of a car. "Hey, get out of the way," the person driving screamed as the strange doohickey, at least to Naruto, headed straight for him with a decent amount of speed. Instead of panicking, Naruto started waving his hands as if trying to get the driver's attention. It worked as the car screeched to a halt, stopping just at the tip of Naruto's feet. The driver was revealed to be a middle-aged woman as she rolled down her window to reprimand Naruto for his actions. "What do you think you're doing, kid? Are you trying to get yourself killed?" the woman exclaimed, but to her confusion Naruto said nothing as he walked up her window and asked her a question. "Sorry lady for stepping in front of your whatever this is, but would you mind telling me where I am? You see, I'm a little lost." The woman was more than a little confused by the question. "You're in Kuo Town, kid, didn't you read the sign outside?" Naruto, who was still unaware of the attention he was getting as he completely stopped traffic, responded to her question with another question. "Yes, but what I mean, where is Kuo Town exactly?" The woman sighed but answered his question nevertheless. "Listen kid, you're causing a bit of a commotion here, but if you must know where you are in Japan, okay?" "I see, thank you for your help lady," Naruto said with a nod. The woman just gave him a small smile along with a nod. "You're welcome. Next time if you're lost, don't do something crazy like jumping in front of a car. Go to a police station, they can help you." The woman then rolled up her window and drove off as Naruto walked backwards. It was only then Naruto noticed what the lady was talking about, as literally everyone was staring at him. Naruto then started to blush from embarrassment as he scratched the back of his head. Hehehe, sorry everyone, I'm just gonna go. Naruto then started to run, leaving a comical dust of air behind him. "Weirdo," a random civilian said. As Naruto started to slow down into a walk, he decided to think about the info he just acquired. Japan. What the hell is Japan? I've never heard of a place called Japan, and I've been all around the elemental nations during my 3-year training trip with Ero Sennin. Naruto then shook his head as a thought suddenly occurred to him. No, but that couldn't be right. I've never heard of anywhere outside of the elemental nations. I mean, sure, there's the small villages outside the 5 great countries, but Naruto then started to grab his head and shake it in frustration. All this thinking is making my head hurt. It doesn't matter where I am or how far I am from home, I'm gonna find a way out of here, get back home and keep my promise to Sakura-chan, then become Hokage. I didn't give up back then and I ain't gonna start giving up now, cause that's my ninja way. He had told himself that 1 year ago. A now 17-year-old Naruto Uzumaki can be seen walking through the park deep in thought about the past year. When he first came to this place he was sure he could find a way out of here and back to Konoha in no time. Boy, how wrong he was. It would be an understatement to say his time here in this town was a rough one. A couple days in he realized he had no money, absolutely none, which meant he was homeless for the better part of the year. He also had to constantly pickpocket civilians for money, something he took zero enjoyment out of, though he only took enough so he could buy necessities like food and clothes. His jumpsuit and haori he was wearing was getting him a lot of attention. Another thing he had found out about this place was that the civilians were weak, like weaker than what he considered weak. He had stumbled upon an attempted assault on a man in an alley. When the leader of the group assaulting the man tried to punch him, he dodged and punched him right back. Although Naruto didn't put any power to that punch, he was shocked when the man almost died. Thankfully no one saw his face cause it was nighttime. Naruto learned 2 things that week. The people of this town were weak, and number 2 was that these people had no chakra. He had found that one out about a day after the assault incident when he went into sage mode and scanned the people of the town. The fact that the people here had absolutely zero chakra and was still breathing unnerved him greatly, because as far as he was concerned every living being needed at least some chakra to survive. He had a theory as to why this was but he refused to entertain it cause it brought him sorrow every time he thought about it. So here he was now walking through the park to get to his job to open up shop. Yes, you heard right, Naruto Uzumaki has a job. He had to get one if he wanted to stop robbing innocent people. It was, as you'd probably guessed, at a ramen stand. Apparently this place had no ramen in any of the places he went to eat, and being the fanatic that he is, he could not allow this disrespect to his favorite food go unchecked, and thus, Naruto's ramen had been created. It wasn't very popular, but it was very convenient when people got hungry, and it did help him pay his rent on time, plus it was the only thing that brought him some type of comfort as it reminded him of home. It also kinda helped that he was the only one working there, so he could keep all the money the shop earned. As Naruto made it to his shop and got set up, he watched as several students of the school he was going to soon pass by. Yeah, he couldn't wait to get back home cause it was mandatory for someone his age to go to school. So unless he wanted a trip to the police station, he had to go to school again. He also couldn't get into Kuo Academy without some legal documents, so using his skills as a ninja he forged some pretty solid information, though the only real thing on those documents was his name and date of birth. As regards to his progress on getting back to the elemental nations, none. He was no closer to getting home than he was a year ago, and not for a lack of trying. He was searching non-stop for the whole year. He had gone from asking around Japan, to using the local library, something he was loath to do. He had even tried using most of his chakra to see if anything would happen. That idea left him bedridden for a week, and none of his ideas had any positive results. Although Naruto hadn't given up on going home, it was getting harder to continue every day after he came to the realization that he was going to be here for a while. After a few hours of working, Naruto closed up his shop and walked back to his apartment. This has been his routine for the past year, doing it so often he could do it blind. "I'm back," Naruto called out, but as he expected there was no response when he walked in. He then gave a sad sigh at this. Honestly, he should be used to this given his past, but some days it just hits a little harder than others coming home to an empty house. That's another thing that really bothers him about being in this place. He was alone, truly alone, and he hasn't felt this way in a long time. He also hadn't heard from the Kyuubi since his fight with Pain. The thing that had tipped him off about this was when Naruto was mourning over his loss of his master and everything else, and he didn't sense him reaching out. No words, no temptation, not even a whisper. At first he was a little relieved that the Kyuubi didn't try anything. But one day he wanted to talk to somebody badly, so he went into his mindscape to contact the Kyuubi. Only to find out that he wasn't there at all. Naruto couldn't believe he was saying this, but damn it, he misses the damn fox. Now he knows that he and the Kyuubi didn't have the best relationship, but the Kyuubi's disappearance only served to drive home the fact that here he was more alone now than he'd ever had been. You know, Sasuke, I think I finally understand what you meant back then. Flashback. You don't have any parents or siblings, how could you understand? You've been alone from the very beginning. What could you possibly understand about me, huh? Flashback end. This is how you felt every day, isn't it, Sasuke? Knowing everyone and everything you've ever known was ripped away. It's torture. Naruto then shook his head to clear his thoughts as he went to go hang up his Kuo Academy uniform on the doorknob of the dresser. Naruto got in his bed and started sulking about the fact that he has to go back to school before falling asleep about an hour later. With the elemental nations, Naruto Uzumaki's disappearance was a big curveball to the Hidden Leaf Village as well as to the ninja world. Of course, being the Jinchuriki of the infamous nine-tailed fox, losing him was a critical hit to Konoha's military power as well as to the power balance throughout the world. Konoha was in a really tight spot right now as they lost both of their most powerful heavy hitters. It has been 1 year since his mysterious departure and no one has any luck even finding a possible trail to his whereabouts. Kakashi woke up with a start from another nightmare. After the events leading up to Naruto's disappearance, Kakashi started to have nightmares about Naruto falling into the portal. Kakashi looked at his hand before turning his head to look at the nearest wall. On the wall hung what he considered his failure as a teacher. Naruto and Sasuke's headband. Naruto had given him Sasuke's headband for safekeeping before going on his trip with Jiraiya, but due to everything that's happened since his return, Kakashi never had the time to give it back. After the fight with Pain, Kakashi had hung Naruto's headband next to Sasuke's as a reminder to the students he felt he had failed. After staring at them for a couple minutes, Kakashi got out of bed and went to get ready to head out on his mission. His mission. The mission he was on for the past year. Find a clue to Naruto's whereabouts and bring him home. Kakashi grabbed his Anbu gear and headed out of his home. After Kakashi came back and revealed what had happened regarding Naruto's disappearance, Team 7 was disbanded shortly after. When Sakura heard this information, she was shattered. Learning both of her childhood friends and teammates had left her was too much to bear, and she hyperventilated and passed out. Afterwards she fell into a deep depression as she refused to do any ninja work, opting to work at the hospital instead. These days Sakura only frequently visits 3 places: the hospital, the Naruto statue with Hinata, and Ichiraku Ramen, going with Hinata once every week. After a couple of hours of searching for clues with no success, Kakashi could be seen walking towards the Hokage's mansion to give the Hokage his report on his search. This has been Kakashi's schedule for the past year. As he made it to the door of the Hokage's office, he knocked and waited for a response. Once he heard a "come in," Kakashi walked into the office. Any luck on finding Naruto, Kakashi? The question came from Tsunade Senju, the current 5th Hokage. She was one of the ones most affected by his disappearance, as Naruto was the one who convinced her to become Hokage 4 years ago. Over time she had begun to think of Naruto as a son, so she was pretty heartbroken when Kakashi came back with nothing but his headband. "Nothing, Lady Tsunade, and none of my ninkin were able to catch his scent," replied Kakashi. Tsunade could only give a sad sigh at his words. Then she sat straight up in her chair with her face showing a calm expression, but you could still see the pain in her eyes. "I see, and the Kage haven't seen or heard anything about him either. What's your report on the Akatsuki?" "Nothing too important report on them either. After the fight with Pain they have barely made a move, although rumors say that Sasuke had joined them for a brief period but left soon after." Sasuke. There also hasn't been much activity from him since Itachi's death either. Tsunade replied, "It's true, Sasuke hasn't been spotted since his battle with Itachi. However, the rumors about his brief team-up with the Akatsuki were a little concerning if they were true." "Do you think Naruto may have had something to do with his inactivity, Lady Tsunade?" "Might be. You said you saw him during the presentation of the Naruto statue, right? It's odd, isn't it? All that talk about severing his bond with Naruto, yet he still made an appearance." Konoha had built a statue of Naruto near the graveyard in order to honor the hero of the village a couple of months back. People to this day visit and take good care of that statue, 2 people in particular. That is correct. Sasuke did make an appearance, but he was far in the back and in the shadows. We sent some ninjas after him, but they were all taken down. We would have sent some more after him, but our forces were spread thin as well, and doing so would cause a public panic, and that was the last thing we needed at the time. Tsunade nodded at his words before her face dropped its calm expression and into one of concern. "How are you holding up, Kakashi?" Tsunade asked Kakashi, as he was also one of the people that was hit the hardest from Naruto's disappearance. "I'm fine, Lady Tsunade," Kakashi replied, keeping his calm demeanor. He then turned around to exit the mansion. Tsunade's voice reached out to him. "I miss him too, you know. It's been hard to go on without him," Tsunade said. Yes it has," was Kakashi's only response. As he was in the doorframe, Tsunade's voice reached out once more. "Check on Sakura for me, will you? If you need to find, she should be where she usually goes these days." Instead of giving a verbal answer, Kakashi only nodded his acceptance at the request and walked out the Hokage's office to search for the last remaining member of the original Team 7. With Naruto. Naruto woke up with a groan. The sun was beaming straight into his eyesight, preventing him from going back to sleep. Well, he couldn't even if he wanted to. He has school in a few. God, he hated the sound of that. With a sigh, Naruto sat up in his bed and stared at nothing. Actually, he was just staring into space. After staring at nothing for a few minutes, he got out of his bed and cracked his back. He then released a relieved sigh as he walked into his bathroom to brush his teeth. Naruto looked in the mirror as he went to grab his toothpaste. His hair had grown over the past year and his eyes, which were once bright blue, now on the dull side due to his failed attempts to get home. Now if you were to ask a random person, they would say his eyes were a regular blue, but to anyone who knew him they would definitely say he's depressed. He had also grown a little taller, becoming 5 feet 7. After getting done in the bathroom, Naruto walked out to get dressed in his Kuo Academy uniform. Naruto looked at his uniform with distaste before putting it on. However, Naruto wore an orange t-shirt with a custom-made Uzumaki swirl on the back, though no one can see it due to the blazer on his back. He took one last look at himself before giving a sigh. "I'm heading out," Naruto said before stepping out the door. It took him a couple minutes to get to Kuo Academy cause he got lost a couple times along the way. He had to admit the school was huge. Due to Naruto being a new student, Naruto was met at the gate by the president of the student council, Sauna Shitori. "You're the new student Naruto Uzumaki, correct?" Sauna asked him. Naruto looked at the bespectacled young woman with curious eyes. For some reason Naruto got the sense that something wasn't quite right with this woman, but then again nothing in this place seemed right to him, so he put it out of his mind for now and answered the woman's question. "Yep, that's me," Naruto replied with a bit of a melancholic tone. Naruto normally would have answered with an energetic tone like, "Yo, that's me you're looking at, Naruto Uzumaki." But he hasn't really felt like his energetic self since coming here. "Follow me quickly so you can get to your schedule. You're almost late to your first class," Sauna said in a strict tone as she turned around and started walking towards the school. Naruto shrugged before saying, "I got lost on the way here," but it wasn't like she could see him actually shrug. Nevertheless, Naruto followed her without much complaint. After quickly getting his schedule and being rushed to his class by student council president, Naruto knocked on the door and waited for a response. After hearing, "Come in," Naruto walked in as the teacher announced him as the new student and waved a lazy hand towards his classmates. "Yo, Naruto Uzumaki," was all he said. "Okay, now that the introductions are out of the way, Naruto, you can sit in that empty seat by Kiba," the teacher said. "And who might that be?" Naruto asked. Honestly, Naruto would have laughed a bit at the name because of its familiarity, but before he could, the guy named Kiba raised his hand. "Over here, Naruto-san," Kiba said in a polite tone as Naruto walked over and gave him a nod and sat down. Apparently that had been the wrong thing to do as chaos erupted in the classroom in the form of girls whining. "Ah, why does he get to sit next to Kiba-kun?" a girl whined. "I wanted to sit next to Kiba-kun though," another whined. "Sensei, why can't I sit next to Kiba-kun?" and another girl whined. Yeah, there was a lot of whining. Naruto could only sigh at his new predicament. Seriously, he sat down for half a second and already chaos erupted. At least this time he didn't get beat up for being near the pretty boy of the school. Fucking Sasuke. "Sorry Naruto-san, I am quite popular among the girls of the school, you see." Kiba apologized. He honestly felt for the new guy as popularity could sometimes be a curse. "Really, I never would have guessed you were popular," Naruto sarcastically said, though his sarcasm only made Kiba chuckle a little bit before retorting. "Yeah, you'd really have to take a closer look to notice," Kiba said with a smirk which made Naruto shake his head a bit and give a small smirk in return. And so began Naruto's life as a Kuo Academy student, where he would meet the people that would change his life forever. Not that he knew that, of course. Naruto woke up with a start as he just came out of another nightmare. Ever since that fateful day 1 year ago, Naruto hasn't had a good night of rest since his subconscious was constantly being invaded by several different nightmares ranging from pain destroying the village, the villagers constantly bullying him, to even Sasuke killing him back at the final valley. Naruto got out of his bed to get ready to go to school. On his way out the door he looked at the one thing he still had from his village, and that was his ninja pouches which held all his belongings, which was not very much due to past events. He hadn't really had a need for it anymore since he hadn't trained in a while, and he couldn't train because it would bring him too much attention, and number 2 was he couldn't find anywhere to train. Naruto sighed as he walked out the door, ready to get this school day over with. Rias frowned at the chessboard with a bit of frustration. She was currently in the student council room playing chess with her childhood friend and rival Sona Citri. Sona had called her to discuss a little concern about their school's new student, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto had flown under their radar when he came to their school, Sona had only found out about him last minute on his first day as he didn't even take the entrance exam he was just accepted in, and the fact that he had flown under both of their radars was cause for concern. Rias knew nothing about a new student until she heard from gossip that Kiba hangs around him these days. It is a bit concerning that he just appeared out of nowhere, Rias said as she moved her knight to a spot where she could take Sona's rook. Not only that, all of his information concerning his background is all fake. The only thing real about him is his name, Sona said as she moved to take one of Rias's rooks. Sona's words had caught her attention as she looked at her rival. The game of chess all but forgotten, really. Everything except his name is fake. What about his date of birth? Rias questioned. It was a little surprising to hear that all of that got past her and Sona with zero suspicion. It could also be fake for all I know. While his date of birth could be true, I also checked all hospitals in Japan for the names Naruto or Uzumaki and neither of his names appeared anywhere. It's like he appeared out of nowhere. Sona said with her usual seriousness. If this new student was someone dangerous, then Rias's knight was in trouble. Rias's eyes narrowed and her expression and tone took on a serious one. So in other words, we might have a threat in our territory. Sona nodded at her rival's words. Could be, but then again I can't sense any supernatural power coming from him, so it could be a foreign human, but that also doesn't explain the fake documents. In any case, I'll give Yuto a heads up and have Kaneko watch him from afar to see if she can pick something up. Rias said. While that's what she said, she had another goal in mind. Sona studied her friend's expression for a couple of seconds before coming to a conclusion. Knowing you have another end goal in mind, don't you, Rias? At this, Rias just smiled. Sometimes her childhood friend knew her too well. Naruto was laying back on a tree as he watched with bitter amusement as the perverted trio, three of the most hated people of the school as he quickly found out, got chased by the members of the kendo and that blonde girl that always hangs with them trying to play peacekeeper. They're just like you, Naruto said with a sad smile. His late master would have definitely loved them. Hell, if they had chakra, Naruto would go to say that those three would have been his star pupils. Who are they like, Naruto? A voice said next to him. Naruto knew who this was. This was the guy who he sits next to every day, the one who refused to leave him alone even when he tried to outright avoid him. This man was the number one pretty boy of Kuo Academy, Kiba Yuto. He didn't know why he chose to hang out with him over anybody else as he was one of the most popular in the school and he was just the new guy. No one that you know. Any reason why you are here, Kiba? Naruto questioned. Is it wrong to want to hang out with a friend? Kiba asked. If you'd asked why he chose to hang out with the new kid, he would honestly say he just wanted another guy to talk to. Sure, Issei was a great friend, but he was more or less thinking about a woman's chest 24/7. So he wanted to befriend the new guy, but he didn't know why he was so dead set on avoiding everyone in the school. No, there's nothing wrong with wanting to hang out with a friend, but whoever said we were friends, Kiba? Naruto said with a cold tone in his voice. Kiba's smile dropped a tiny bit but nevertheless shrugged and sat next to Naruto. Well, everyone else seems to think we're friends, they even have a name for us. Kiba said. And what name would that be, oh pretty one? They already have a name for them. He's only been here for about a week and he already has a title, wow. The Golden Boys of Kuo, I think, Kiba answered. Naruto rolled his eyes and leaned back further into the tree. After a few moments of silence, Kiba spoke up. Can I ask you something, Naruto? Kiba asked. Shoot. Naruto retorted. He was hoping he wouldn't ask him where he was from or something like that because he did not study that information he forged up, and if he did ask him that, he was screwed. You don't look like someone from Japan, so where are you from? Kiba asked. Bucho gave him a heads up about Naruto on his way here, so he decided to use this opportunity to learn more about this possible foe, though he hoped that he could befriend him if possible. Me and Big Mouth, man, luck just was not on his side these days, but then again, when has luck ever been on his side? He wouldn't be Naruto Uzumaki if he got what he wanted. Does it really matter where I'm from, really? He just had to ask the one question he wasn't able to, nor was he going to answer. He didn't know what Kiba's goal was right now. Call him paranoid or it's his master's training in overdrive mode, but there was something off about this guy. Now that he thought about it, he's been getting this same feeling about some of the students in this school. It's the exact same feeling he got when he met Sauna. I suppose not, though I was just curious. Kiba answered. He had noticed that Naruto avoided the question. Kiba stored that in the back of his mind for now. Naruto sighed as he got up from his tree and started to move on to his next class. Before he got far, he turned his head to look at his fellow blonde in the eyes. Look, Kiba, I know what you're trying to do and I appreciate it, but I don't need nor do I want friends, just leave me alone. With his words said, Naruto left him to his spot on the tree. A few minutes later. With classes done and over with, Naruto quickly left the school premises, determined to not stay there more than needed to. As he was walking to open up shop, he got the sense that someone was following him. Due to his training, he could easily tell when someone was following him, but since the people here were so weak, he wasn't entirely sure, so he took a couple detours on the way. After being sure that someone wasn't following him, he picked up the pace to his ramen stand, opened up shop, got the ingredients out and got to cooking. The bills can't pay themselves, though I wish they could. Rias was just getting out of the shower when the rest of Peerage had come in. Bucho, we've returned. A beautiful young woman with a voluptuous figure, very long black hair and violet eyes. This was Rias's longtime friend Akano Himahima. We're back, a petite girl with white hair and gold eyes said. This pretty young lady was Rias's rook Kaneko Tuju, the mascot of Kuo Academy. Hey Bucho. This voice came from the number one enemy of the school, the most infamous member of the perverted trio Issei Hyodo, one of the two newest additions to her family. We've returned, a pretty young girl with long blonde hair and green eyes stated along with her other members. Her name is Asia Argento, the second of the newest additions to Rias's peerage. Welcome back everyone. Rias said with a smile. Kiba, Kaneko, did you manage to find anything? Rias asked. Sort of, Bucho. There's nothing important that I got out of him, but he did avoid my question when I asked him where he was from. Kiba answered. Rias nodded at his words and she turned her head to her rook to hear her answer. Lost him in an alley but got his scent, the rook provided. If anyone asked her, this boy had the weirdest scent she ever picked up on so far. His scent was a combination of a fox, a toad, and ramen. There was also something else there but she couldn't put her finger on it. Bucho, what's going on? Asked her pawn with a bit of worry. Rias gave him a reassuring smile as she answered him. Sorry Issei, it was last minute so I only had enough time to warn Kiba and Kaneko, but there's a new student around campus and I'm having Kiba and Kaneko tail him. A new student. Don't you think we would have heard about a new student? Her queen asked. That's what's so concerning about him, he flew under all of our radars, even Sona's. The only one of us who knew about him was Kiba because he shares a class with him. Rias answered. At her words her knight bowed his head in apology. I'm sorry Bucho, if I knew about the circumstances of his arrival I would have told you. No need to apologize Yuto, you couldn't have known about it. Bucho, what should we do? Issei asked. Issei was a little worried since this could be a potential threat to his new friends. But he was also determined to fight this guy if need be. We'll make preparations for now but our actions from then will depend on his own. Kaneko, I want you to keep tailing him. Rias said as she walked towards her desk to sit down. Hi Bucho, Kaneko said before turning to walk out of room. Everyone else except Akano followed suit, but when Kiba got to the door Rias's voice reached out to stop him. Yuto, I've got a different task for you. What is it, Bucho? Naruto shares a class with you, correct? I want you to befriend him if possible. Her knight nodded his head to her request. Of course Bucho, Naruto is a very distant person from what I've seen but I will try my best. With those words Kiba left the room. It's odd isn't it? How he slipped under us like that. Akano said. Yes it is, while we could say we were too focused on Issei and Asia to notice him but he also slipped under Sona's radar as well. On top of that he also managed to lose Kaneko when she was tailing him. Rias answered. It seems like we have so many things being thrown at us these days. First Issei, then the whole ordeal with Asia and now this new boy, I wonder how to interpret all of this. If this Naruto turns out to be an enemy then we will deal with him accordingly. However, if Kiba can manage to befriend him then we could have another ally instead of an enemy. Rias said before taking out a red chess piece out of her desk before twirling it in her fingers. Bucho, that chess piece, I've never seen any evil piece like that one before. Akino said with mild curiosity. She didn't even know what type of piece it was, as it didn't look like any of the standard evil pieces. Me neither. I had got it from Ajuka-sama and my brother a year ago. They said it was just one of his first editions when he was creating the evil pieces. They didn't know what to do with it, so they gave it to me. Era, how interesting. Are you planning on using this piece to reincarnate Naruto should Kiba befriend him? I don't know, it all depends on him. Naruto yawned in his seat as he was struggling to keep awake in class. To say he did not get a lot of sleep last night was an understatement. He had to work overtime at the shop as he was running out of ingredients to make his ramen, and he was running a little behind on rent. He also only got like an hour of sleep before his subconscious was once again invaded by unpleasant dreams. He tried going back to sleep, but by then his damn alarm rang, meaning he had to go back to this damn school. It also didn't help that he was in history class. Honestly, he didn't care enough to learn about this place's history. Although the stories he did hear about this place only brought back his theory on why he couldn't find a single piece of info about his home. So closing his eyes and putting his head on the table, Naruto decided to get a few minutes of shut-eye before the end of class. Riiiiinnngggg. Never mind. With a very annoyed groan, Naruto gathered his bags and headed out the door quickly to avoid being approached by his fellow blonde. Naruto didn't have any problem with the guy, but he wanted to be left alone. As a matter of fact, he was sure that if he and Kiba had met back home they would have been fast friends, but he was determined to get back home, and in order to do that he needed to shut himself away from the people of this town. As much as he hated to do that. As Naruto was headed to the roof of the school to spend his lunch period looking at the clouds, he could understand now why Shikamaru looked at them. He was stopped in the hallway by the traffic of students blocking his path, erupting in awe and cheer at the two students walking a clear path to their next class. It's Rias Senpai and Akino Senpai, a girl squealed. The two students were none other than the two most popular students of the whole school. Rias Grimori and Akino Himehime. They're always so gorgeous. Era, it's good to see you. Akino waved to the crowd, which only caused the already loud crowd to get even louder. Rias, however, didn't say anything as continued walking towards her next class. She stopped for a moment when her eyes met those of the object of her concern. She could sense it now that she was closer to him, that he was human, which meant he was no threat. With this information confirmed, she gave him a small smile before passing him by. As the crowd cleared and went to the cafeteria, Naruto was finally able to get to the roof of the school and mull over what just happened. Naruto was a little unnerved by the two beautiful women as they passed him by, specifically the redhead. Sure, they were two most beautiful women he'd ever saw, it didn't change the fact that they also gave off the same feeling that Kiba and Sauna has. Knowing that four people giving off the same vibe is in no way a coincidence, as well as the feeling that someone was following him, Naruto was now a little on guard. He didn't know why these people started taking an interest in him, first Kiba and now this redhead, but he had a feeling he was going to find out soon enough. Why? Because his name is Naruto Uzumaki, and Naruto Uzumaki can never catch a break no matter where he is. Era, it seems he is quite the cutie, Akino said with a hand on the side of her face. Rias, however, did not respond, causing Akino to look at her in concern. Bucho. His eyes, did you see them? Rias asked. She recognized those eyes, how could she not? She saw those same eyes 3 times before. They were the eyes of someone that's been hurt. He did a very good job at hiding it that she almost didn't notice. On top of that, the strange piece she got a year ago appeared in her pocket when she walked past him. However, all of this only brought more questions about this mysterious newcomer. What do you mean, Bucho? They were dull. He did a good job at hiding it, but I can see it. He's been hurt. Akino looked at her friend and president with a smile that held bitter humor. It seems you always come across the broken ones. Rias sighed at her queen's words and looked ahead. Just who are you, Uzumaki Naruto? Naruto has had an irritating week to say the least. Ever since his interaction with the redhead and the Nadeshiko, is that what they're called? Anyway, ever since his meeting with them, people just wouldn't for the love of ramen leave him alone. First was this student council guy who tried to get him to join the student council, next it was this blonde-haired girl, Asia was her name, he thinks. While he wasn't exactly rude, she is too nice to be outright mean to, he wasn't nice either, so he blew her off as well. Apparently that was the wrong thing to do because then the leader of the perverted trio came up to him and demanded that he apologize to her. Boy, that caused a scene because he almost got into a fight with the guy because he saw nothing to apologize for. Rias, as he found out due to the screaming students, came in and stopped it before it could escalate. Then on top of that he still has not made any progress on ways to get home. He tried making a transportation jutsu but since he had no idea how that even worked the idea blew up in his face, literally. So yeah, he was pretty irritated this past week. Now you have him in his ramen shop twirling a kunai around his finger waiting for some customers before school. Oh yeah, that's another thing that happened. When he felt that something or someone might be watching him, he had his ninja pouch on him at all times. Now he hadn't been able to fight seriously in a year, so he was pretty sure he was rusty with most of his techniques, but he kept up with his hand-to-hand combat should he have some problems. Naruto saw the flap to his shop open and slipped his kunai inside his sleeve as he got up to serve his customers. Welcome to my ramen shop. How can I? Oh no, not you too. One of the two has shaved hair and normally wears a Kuo Academy uniform with an unbuttoned blazer. The other one has shoulder-length dark brown hair and thin black eyebrows, and wears rimless square glasses. These two were none other than the other two members of the infamous perverted trio Motohama and Matsuda. Uzumaki-san. What are you doing here? Motohama asked. It's my shop. Was the sign outside not clear enough? I mean, it does have my name on it. Naruto resisted the urge to sigh and just told them to sit down. Anyway, what would you guys like? Do you have anything else other than ramen? Matsuda asked. Naruto got the urge to sock the near bald man in the face with every amount of strength he has after hearing that question. Stay calm, Naruto. Stay calm, Naruto. Stay calm, Naruto. After a few seconds of awkward silence, Naruto decided to ignore the man and just got out a pen and a sheet of paper. So that will be 2 miso ramens? He asked. When receiving a nod from Motohama, Naruto turned around to make the ramen. Damn that Issei. Always hanging out with Rias senpai and her voluptuous boobs. Motohama whined. Let's just hope she doesn't disappear along with the rest of the big boob girls of the school. It would be truly disastrous if all the big-breasted ladies disappeared. Matsuda whined with comical tears going down his eyes. That had caught Naruto's attention as he was almost finished making the duo's food. Girls disappearing from school. He would have noticed if people started disappearing. Oh, who was he kidding? He doesn't pay enough attention to who goes in and out of this school. Naruto decided to listen in to see if they would say anything else useful. At this, we won't be able to look at any huge boobs if the girls keep catching this disease and disappear. Motohama cried. A disease that only targets girls with good assets. Yeah, totally legit. Well, that was what he would say if he didn't come from a place where giant talking toads exist and can do martial arts. If things like that exist, anything is possible. While he could pull a shikamaru and just mind his business, he knew that 9 times out of 10 the people that randomly disappear don't come back. Just because he doesn't want friends doesn't mean he's gonna sit back and watch the people around him be harmed. That's not who Naruto Uzumaki is. With those thoughts in his head, Naruto put the now finished ramen in the bowls and served his unknowing informants. So that stray demon was an alchemist who was working with goblins? Rias asked the virtual image. After the encounter with the stray girls around the school started disappearing, and as the caretaker of this place, Rias wanted to deal with it. Yes, we've also discovered an issue related to it. It seems as though he has synthesized a chimera from a carnivorous plant and a dragon from his laboratory and released it in your territory. The virtual image who answered Rias's question was her sister-in-law Graphia Lucifuge. What is a chimera? Asked Asia. A chimera is a monster made up of several different creatures, Asia-chan, Akino helpfully answered. The carnivorous plant part of it shouldn't be that much of a problem, but the dragon part should be a little difficult to deal with. Rias said with her hand on her chin. That's it for now, we'll contact you again if there are any updates. Alright, thank you for the information. With those parting words, the virtual Graphia disappeared. Issei was about to ask who the person on the call was, but at that moment the door to the clubroom opened. Bucho, we've returned, Kiba said while walking into the room with Kaneko. We're back, Kaneko said. Rias graced them with a smile when they came in. Good work you two, I can tell from your faces that you found something. Yeah, we tracked it down. It's most likely after the girls of this school. Kiba said. At his words, Issei tilted his head questionably. Girls. What would it want with the girls? That's what we intend to find out. Rias told Issei gently before she got up to walk to the window. As she stared out the window she saw a certain blonde-haired student walking past the building. It seems I have to put you on hold for now, Uzumaki-san. A couple of hours later. So then the rumor that a lot of the girls suddenly got sick is false. That's right, Issei. The problem is that we picked up some traces of magic in those girls. It bothered me, so I had Yuto and Kaneko search in secret, Rias answered. Rias and her peerage were currently walking to the location of the plant. When they got there they stopped to look at the abnormal-sized plant with some purple gem in the middle of it. Is it a plant goblin? Asia asked. No, this is, Rias started to say but when she said that a dragon head sprouted from the middle of the flower. When Issei saw this his eyes widened. Bucho is that a? Yes, this is the dragon that Grafia was talking about. Rias finished for him. Finding it here saves me some trouble. Let's hide, someone's coming. The peerage found a hiding spot behind the trees and watched as two girls walked towards the plant-dragon hybrid. One of these girls had brown hair and was wearing a yellow pajama set. The other girl had pink hair with her hair laid back with a hair band. Issei recognized these two girls. Huh. These two girls are from my class, Katasen Murayama. Issei watched as the plant hybrid used its tentacles to latch onto the two girls' breasts. What's it doing? It's sucking out their life energy. Rias told him. Issei was about to step out to confront the plant but Rias stopped him. Hold on Issei. But Bucho, Issei started to retort but Kiba cut him off before he could finish. Issei, judging from past cases this won't kill them. Indeed, so let's just wait and see. Rias said and at that moment Kaneko's nose twitched as she picked a certain scent. When she caught this scent her eyes widened just a tiny bit. He's here. The white-haired girl said. On the outside she had her usual blank face but on the inside she was shocked that he was here, especially with none of the others noticing. Rias looked at her rook questionably. She was about to open her mouth to ask who she was talking about but at that moment two shurikens came out of the bush across from them and cut the tentacles on the girls. The entire group except Kaneko eyes widened as they saw a figure jump in front of the hypnotized girls. Each one of them was very surprised that he was here. How did he get here? They did not know but one thing was for sure. None of them were expecting Naruto Uzumaki to make an appearance tonight. Flashback. When Naruto got to school he could see what the two perverts were talking about at his shop. Some of the girls that were at this school were missing and the other girls looked completely out of it. Though there were two girls in particular that looked a little different from the rest of them. Naruto knew that look. He would have been a fool if he hadn't. This was the look of someone under genjutsu. Now that he knew that the rumors of the girls disappearing were true, it would clash with his soul if he just stood on the sidelines. So Naruto did what any ninja did and followed them discreetly. Now Naruto knew he couldn't be in two places at once. Oh wait yes he can. God he loves shadow clones. After finding a secluded place in the school Naruto double-checked to make sure no one was around and did his signature hand sign and with a puff of smoke a perfect replica of himself appeared. You know what to do. Ah but why do I gotta go to class? Class is so boring. Why can't you do it? The clone whined. Cause I'm the original and what I say goes now off you go. With that said the clone walked away sulking about stupid originals and classes. After about an hour or two the two girls finally left the school early just as Naruto was starting to get bored and was about to call this stealth mission off. Alright finally they do something. Okay so girls go missing check. Leaving school early, check. And a decent sized chest check. Now all that's left is to find out where they're headed, take the creep down and leave before the girls come back to their senses. Simple right? Wrong. It took a couple of hours but he finally found where the girls were headed. It took a long time because the two girls walked so slow, it literally took them from sunset to the middle of the night. They even took time to change into pajamas. Though that wasn't what made things complicated. When he got to the location he was expecting a shady dude or an abandoned house or something like that. What he was not expecting was a giant plant with a gem in the middle of it. Or a head to sprout from the flower. On top of that, the damn thing just latched onto their chests and started sucking something from them. Now Naruto has definitely seen weirder stuff, but this was something he would probably find in the Ika Ika series. Naruto gave a sigh at his predicament. Not knowing if this thing would kill them or not, Naruto sprung to action. Flashback end. You girls okay? Naruto asked, but when he looked back he got no response as the girls just walked away without a word, while those girls must have been under some heavy genjutsu. When Naruto looked back at the plant he could see it was mad at him for interrupting whatever it was doing. Naruto grabbed a kunai out of his pouch and got into a battle-ready stance. The battle now started as the plant launched its tentacles at Naruto. Naruto, however, was ready as he dodged each tentacle that was thrown at him. Another tentacle flew at him from above, but he once again dodged it by going into a forward roll. Naruto jumped forward to get in close, but even more tentacles sprouted from the ground and wrapped themselves around him, stopping him in his tracks. Oh right, it's a plant, he kind of forgot about that. The Grimoire group was stunned to see this sudden turn of events. Though Rias in particular had a lot of questions running through her head, she decided to push them aside for now. Bucho, what should we do? Kiba asked. Rias could see it in his eyes that he too was confused by the boy's appearance. But she could also see that he wanted to help the other blonde. She thought about the situation for a few seconds. While it was true that his appearance was a huge curveball, this was also a good opportunity to grab a new peerage member. Another opportunity to boost her peerage for that was one she would take advantage of. With those thoughts in mind, her decision was made. It seems we have quite the predicament on our hands. In any case, we'll lend a hand to Uzumaki-san. Rias said as she flew out to confront the plant. When she got close enough, she created a magic circle and blasted at the plant. Don't let your guard down. Commence attack. With those words, her peerage sprang into action as Akino's clothes disappeared, leaving her naked for a few brief seconds before changing into a Miko outfit with a white top and red bottom. I'll kick its ass. Kaneko said as she put a fist in her hands and charged at the plant. Alright, here it goes. Boosted gear. Issei yelled as he stood in front of Asia and activated his sacred gear. Kiba, however, instead of charging at the plant, he charged at the tentacles holding Naruto and cut him free. Naruto landed on his feet when he was cut free from the plant monster. What are you doing here? Naruto asked the sword-wielding blonde. I could ask you the same thing, Naruto-san. Kiba said as he swung his sword to cut more of the vines coming at them. At the same time, Naruto threw some shuriken at the tentacles surrounding them. The plant-dragon hybrid roared and sent even more tentacles at them, forcing the two to separate. Rias shot another blast of destruction at the plant's tentacles, destroying them. However, every piece of the plant she destroyed just grew right back. She also watched the same thing happen with the rest of her peerage. There's no end to these things. Issei said. It's recovering faster than we can damage it. It seems its full potential has been brought out. The air and soil of the human world and the life energy from the students provides optimal conditions for it, Rias noted. Naruto raised an eyebrow after hearing her words. Human world. But before he could dig deeper into her words, more tentacles came flying at him, but once again he cut them into pieces. While he was tempted to just use a Rasengan and end this battle, he knew that a ninja's greatest strength was information. So he didn't want to use his attacks in case these guys turned out to be enemies, and he only knew Kiba, but that didn't mean he trusted him, nor were they friends. Asia watched the battle with concern for everyone, even Naruto. I hope everyone will be okay. Then the ground beneath her started to crack. Then suddenly tentacles bursted from the ground and wrapped around her. Kya! Asia! Issei screamed, but when he tried to help her, Rias, Akino and Kaneko got wrapped up in the tentacles as well. Bucho! What is this? Rias exclaimed. This sucks. Kaneko said. Era, these tentacles are perverted. Akino chimed in. Even Akino-san and Kaneko-chan are tied up, Issei exclaimed. Issei-kun, at this rate we can't attack recklessly. Kiba told him. Naruto watched this unfold with increasing confusion as he scratched his head. What the hell is it doing? His confusion grew even more as the tentacles that were latched onto the ladies' chests began to melt their clothes. Era, this has become quite the problem. Akino said with a light blush on her face. I don't like this slimy stuff. Kaneko said with a bored tone. Slippery slimy stuff is eating away my clothes. Asia exclaimed. This slippery, slimy fluid seems to melt our clothes. Rias said. Naruto's sweat dropped at the events currently happening in front of his eyes. I just had to follow those girls here. At this rate everyone will become naked. Issei said with a very perverted face, this is a really big deal. Blood started to fall down from his nose as his perverted grin got even bigger. You're terrible. Kaneko told him. Issei, don't just stand there, you fight too. Rias reprimanded him. Kiba, noticing Naruto's increasing confusion of everything, gave a sheepish laugh. Sorry Naruto-san, it's a long story. Instead of receiving a response from him, Naruto just looked at him with a face that Kiba couldn't read. I knew there was something off about these guys. I really gotta start listening to myself more. Naruto thought before looking back at the plant. After studying it for a few seconds, Naruto noticed the giant gem in the middle of it. That big gem can't just be for show. Truth be told, he didn't know how he was just now noticing the gem as it was literally in the middle of it. Maybe it was because he was too focused on the chaos going around him. His thoughts were interrupted when the plant dropped two of the girls. Naruto, being who he is though scarred, leapt to catch the white-haired girl while the brown-haired one caught the blonde-haired girl. When he set her down, he gave her a brief nod before leaving. Rias watched the interaction with interest, though she couldn't dwell on it much as she squealed as the plant latched onto her chest again. Kya. Wow. This is such a wonderful, lewd no, such a fearsome attack. Issei cried out with admiration in his eyes, it attaches itself to women's boobs and sucks their life energy from them. Naruto nearly fell to the ground when he heard those words. That's what that plant does. Man, what kind of place did that rip in space send him to? But why a woman's chest? Asked Kiba. Don't ask the obvious, pretty boy. I too would love to glue myself to Bucho and Akino-san's breasts and suck out their life energy. Issei yelled with no shame whatsoever. Don't sympathize with the monster, Issei-kun. Asia cried out. I'm not sympathizing. I'm burning with jealousy right now, you damned chimera. Naruto had to give the kid credit. Either he was really stupid or had balls of steel to say that in front of the girls currently in question. He was 1000% sure if he had said anything even remotely close to that back home, Sakura would bury him alive, dig him up and kill him, then rebury him. That's not good either, Issei-kun. Asia cried out once again. Don't just stand there, do somethi. Rias cried out. Her request for them to do something was granted as Naruto, who was getting tired of seeing and hearing what was going on, ran and leapt high enough for him to kick the monster straight in the gem, which made it roar in pain as it let go of both Akino and Rias. This display absolutely stunned the entire Grimoire peerage, as a feat like that should not be possible. For a human at least. Over by Naruto, he noticed as he came back down that a crack appeared in the giant purple gem. I was right, it wasn't just for show, nice job Naruto. He patted himself on the back. His actions also served to make the monster angry as its eyes turned red and it sent a crap ton of tentacles and vines at him. Naruto expertly dodged and outran everything the monster threw at him. Even if he might be rusty, something like this he could take in his sleep. The crack that appeared in the gem didn't go amiss by Rias as she took advantage of the opportunity that Naruto unintentionally gave them. Its weak point is the gem, commence attack. Rias created a magic circle and shot her powers of destruction at the gem. When she hit her mark, another crack appeared in the gem. The rest of her peerage followed suit as Kaneko charged the plant once again, but this time she dodged the tentacles thrown at her and landed a hard punch on the gem. Crack. Alright Bucho, dragon. Issei yelled. Boost. He then punched the monster in the gem. While it was nowhere near as hard as Kaneko's punch, it was still enough to damage it. Akino, like her king, created a magic circle and threw lightning at the monster. Another crack. Kiba, being the only one with a sword, ran around the battlefield cutting down the tentacles that got too close to them. Naruto was doing the same thing as Kiba was doing with his kunai. By the time everyone was done with their onslaught, there were a lot of cracks in the gem. On top of that, the chimera has gotten considerably weaker. Naruto watched as the redhead powered up for one final attack. Checkmate, was all Rias said before launching her power at the chimera, destroying it completely. It's over. Okay, let's head back, she said as she looked over at her peerage. I'd like to thank you for your help, Uzumaki-san. Rias looked back to where Naruto was standing only to see that he was gone. All that remained of his presence there was the shurikens that were thrown. Rias walked over to a tree and took the shurikens out of the tree and put them in her pocket before walking back to her peerage. Yuto, bring him to the clubroom tomorrow. Yes, Bucho, her knight said, and with those final words the Grimoire peerage left the forest. A few minutes later, Naruto was walking back to his apartment, mulling over the recent events. Guess this place isn't as weird as I thought. If he had to be honest with himself, he felt good as he hadn't been able to fight anything in a year. It was refreshing. At least now he knew what was really going on in this place. But that also meant that group would want to keep him close. Which also meant he would be seeing a lot more of Kiba and his friends than he wanted to, so in short, his life just got more complicated than it already was. Great, the Uzumaki luck strikes once again. The next day after class, Naruto had his head down trying to go to sleep until Kiba tapped him on his shoulder. Naruto looked up at him with a drowsy look. Can I help you, Kiba? Would you mind coming with me? Bucho wants to meet you. Kiba asked him. Already, huh? Naruto thought. He knew that those guys were gonna keep an eye on him, but they already wanna meet him. And if I say no? At his words, Kiba just shrugged his shoulders. Naruto sighed before getting out of his seat. Fine, might as well see what she wants. The redhead is who you're talking about, right? Kiba nodded his head as they walked out of class. After a few minutes of walking, they left the main school building and were now walking towards the large building outside of the school. It's a school building. Kiba answered his question with a nod. Naruto and Kiba walked into the main room of the old school building and were met with an extravagant interior design. Although the room was very dim. On one couch was the white-haired girl eating some chocolate and on the other was the brown-haired pervert in Asia. Finally, in the center of the room you have Rias standing in front of her desk with Akino behind her. The white-haired girl and his eyes locked for a few seconds. To Naruto it looked like she was searching for something, though he couldn't really tell because her face had a blank look. That's Tuju Kaneko, a first year. Kiba told him. Kaneko-chan, this is Uzumaki Naruto. The now named Kaneko nodded her head at him, to which he replied with a yo. Over there is Hyodo Issei. Issei just gave him a glare then turned away. That did not go unnoticed by Kiba, but he continued nevertheless. Next to him is Argento Asia. I believe you two have met before, correct? Yeah, we've met before. Naruto said. It's nice to see you again, Naruto-san. Asia said with a smile. Though she didn't get a verbal response from him, he did nod his head. Though this did get him another glare from Issei. Now that the introductions are over, first and foremost, welcome to the Occult Research Club. Do you mind if I call you Naruto?